Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody. I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. This is the Ticker Highlight Show. The Ticker Highlight Show, we meet every Monday, usually Mondays, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And the four of us, I will introduce the other three here momentarily, share with you what we think is our best and worst idea, and what we think is our best idea for a stock, and a stock that maybe buying would be the worst idea. And we're going to share with you why we think a specific stock is going up or down. And by the time we're done, we're going to have a trade. And I want to point something out. All right, if you go to you're here in Option Live. If you click on Free Portfolio, look at the run. We're on a heater, to say the least. But when you're on a heater for 3 months, it stops being a heater and starts just being, this is how we do. Last week we brought you Google. That returned 59% in approximately 25 hours. Oxy we won, TNA, OUST, Oklo, Amazon, Hood, IBM, Google, and Apple. I mean, this is a list of stocks that don't really have a lot to do with each other, that we've been able to pull performance out of every single week. And we intend to do that again today. Again, I'm Mark Sebastian. I am the founder and CEO of Option Pit. I am joined by the Viking of volatility, the Vicar of the VIX. He is Andrew T. Giovinazzi. I believe, is it a little bird told me you just had a birthday. Happy birthday, bud.
Thank you very much. I'm old.
Those good Italian genes stop you from looking at, which is nice. Happy birthday, bud.
Thank you, sir.
But Andrew, of course, was a trader on CBOE, the Pacific Coast Stock Exchange. He did write the program that taught me how to trade, and has probably taught, at this point, several hundred professional traders and another couple thousand retail traders. Next to Andrew is our own Queen of the Candles. I just call her Queen. She is Leisha J. Leslie. She was a floor trader on the floor for 17 years, and then became a charting expert. She's about the only person I know that is an absolute expert at charts and an expert at options. And then finally, we're joined by our own Imperial Overlord of Income, future Governor of Canada. He is getting ready to celebrate Canada Day tomorrow, Tuesday, July 1st. He is Hans Albrecht. Hans, thank you again for being here. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
It is good to be here.
All right. So last week, we kind of had warned you, hey, oil, if there's a peace deal, oil is going to get smoked. And if you want to share my screen, and boy, did oil get smoked. Making a little recovery here, but USO over the course of 2 days fell from 80, almost 84 to a low of 71. That is what, like a good 15% drop. That is a dramatic move, and basically ate up all the move that it had made into the Israeli war. And I still think that there is, I don't know that I trust oil here. Now, oil, one of the points of oil was it was our kind of temperature gauge for what was going on in the Middle East and really what was going on in the market. When oil was going up, the stock market was selling off. When oil was dropping, the stock market was rallying. Now, the 2 days that oil got absolutely trounced, what did the market do? It ripped. Now that we've kind of cleared things up, at least in the near term, oil is no longer your leading catalyst. Still important to pay attention to, it's energy, but it's no longer your leading catalyst. And what is? AI and semis and SMH. They went on a furious run over the last 4 or 5 days, taking a breather today. And then when you kind of open up the hood and look at SMH, I mean, NVIDIA, just an absolute tear. And as good as NVIDIA's been, AMD was better. So when I'm looking at these stocks, I like them. Hans has said, AI is the future. If you're not investing in AI, you are getting behind. And I agree with him. But even within investing, sometimes there's a trade. And the trade to me appears, and I'll lean on Leisha to kind of review this here in a second. I feel like AMD and NVIDIA and the SMH might be a little bit toppy up here. What is to me not toppy, and I know we've been trading this, I think the Russell 2000 still has a lot of upside. When you look at what's happened with the Russell 2000 relative to what's happened in the S&P 500, right? The S&P 500 is sitting at a new all-time high, and the Russell 2000 is still a good 10% or more, a little bit more than 10% off its highs. So when I'm looking at the overall market, I do like it to go higher, but I could see some outperformance out of the Russell. And if you want to go a little bit less volatile, you could look at the diamonds, which have a little bit less upside relative to Russell, but still I believe do have more upside. So when I'm reviewing the market, I like kind of a long, a little bit more boring names for the week, maybe the next few weeks. And I feel like, the AI push out of the semis might be a little bit long in the short term. So that is, my best idea. I like being long the Russell 2000. Stocks that I think are going to underperform a little bit, I'm going to go with some of these semis for the next few days and weeks. So thank you. With that, let's roll things over to our Queen of the Candles, our chart expert, because I know she just has amazing ideas of her own, and she's really good at helping us kind of navigate. Sometimes when things look overbought, she'll go, well, it looks overbought, but guess what? It's going higher. Leisha, what do you got here?
Well, it's funny you say that because the two stocks I had chosen this week were NVIDIA and IBM. And at the time that I had written about them, they were both up against a pretty good resistance. Here's NVIDIA. And that resistance was 153.63. And I told everyone if it pops over that, go long. It traded a high of 58.71. Yep, 158.71 on Friday. Hopefully people made a little money on that. Our RSI is still in overbought, and our MACD has just turned bullish 3 days ago. Until you get a change in trend candle, I'm thinking NVIDIA wants to trade 167.5. So I'm taking the other side of your market, Mark.
Okay.
Two-sided market.
Exactly.
As I said, use close below 153.63. That'll be major league support. The same idea with IBM. IBM still hasn't moved away, but this is bull flagging. This is bull flagging. Use a close below 289.5 in IBM. I think IBM wants to trade the opposite end of the channel here. 311, 310. I think we're going higher. Now, SMH, which you just mentioned, today is up against resistance on my pitchfork. And there was a nice little doji Friday, but you're not getting confirmation. And SMH closes above 279.20, we're going higher. That's my analysis.
I appreciate it. So I do want to take a hard look at IBM here once we get through, because obviously you and I have a market in NVIDIA, so we'll probably take a pass on that unless it's 3 against 1. But IBM does look compelling to me. And what did you think of the Russell 2000 when I was looking at that? I still like it higher.
I do like the Russell. Right now it's consolidating around the 200-day, which is held it last time. It's actually closed above it. It may try to retest it again today. I think it looks good. Good to 221.21. And again, if you can get in there, it's not too late, and use the close below that 200-day as a nice tight stop loss. I like it, Mark.
Well, you and I are long it in trade zone, so I'm glad you do. So let's roll over to our to Andrew and have Andrew talk about what names are you looking at here today, Andrew?
Well, my least favorite name continues to be Apple. And the reason why is I'm just going to let Leisha look at the chart. It just doesn't look very good. I could swear we're at all-time highs and Apple is nowhere. So for whatever reason, until they kind of get more AI centric and I'm sure it's a growth thing. Apple, you got this AI boom going on and Apple can't generate more revenue. We've talked about this. It's a great company. It makes a lot of money, but like I'm on your lane with this, Mark. It's more like a utility that with a dropping market multiple. So
Apple needs a new CEO.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Cook, like you say, he's the best banker that is running a big company, you know. You need somebody. They haven't come up with a new product in what, 10 years?
They're the way they've let everybody else do AI for them instead of doing it themselves. Tim Cook should be embarrassed, and it is going to cost his firm trillions of dollars long term.
Right, and I think they're spending too much money on financial engineering and not enough building a war chest for what they might need. Like if all you're doing is paying dividends and buying back stock and borrowing money to do it, I'm sorry, it's just like you're running out of ideas at this point. Anyway, and now stocks that I am tiptoeing in, and I don't have a position in this yet. The solar companies are getting smeared, and this is like I'm talking to Frank about this in capital gains, obviously, but the solar companies are getting smeared here because they don't think anybody's going to do anything. Any that's going to be positive for any of the solar companies. And I think also like the trade talks may be negative. I think this is kind of a buying opportunity. Real simple. Option prices are. Here, I'll show you here. There's been a lot of volatility, right? You got like 20-day volatility is going crazy in here, and option prices remain, I think, again, reasonable. I think there's still plenty of upside in end phases stock I follow in cap gains, but just from straight vol point of view, buying a cheap strangle, something like that, a cheap call in here. I don't see a lot of downside as long as you buy some time because it is volatile. But this is a whole area of the market that is starting to look interesting. So like end phase is down today, and other stocks that are related, like Solar Edge is up a little bit. Let's take a look at First Solar. And again, I think these are generally overall they can be trendy. First Solar's up a little today, so you have to have a stomach for this. But there's been a little accumulation in end phase here, so I think it's worth keeping an eye on. I like it as a long. If you can sell puts, I don't think it's a bad idea, but you have to have you're put it this way. If you sell puts, you're probably going to take delivery in something like this because it could be down another $5 or $6. However, I like it just as a long call, a straight long call purchase. I think it's oversold. And
we do have a lot
prices
of prices
are very interesting.
We do have a lot of put selling in some of these solar names over the last day. Traders are trying to find a floor in these, and when you're trying to find a floor in a stock, one of the best ways is to run an income play on it to try and make some dough and hopefully take delivery. If only we had somebody here who was an expert on income trading. Oh, hey Hans, how are you?
Oh, there he is. Oh,
there he is.
Can we call a friend? I think I know somebody.
So,
well, yes. I mean, look, this market is rocking and rolling. It's a great income type market because stability is the name of the game. A lot of people think that it's about grabbing these super high option premiums, and that's actually the time where you want to be a little bit more careful because things are not very stable. So it's almost counterintuitive, and that's why you want a pro to kind of show you how to do this stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, look, the market's looking terrific. I mean, it's run it's run quite a bit here. But I think overall we might get a bit of a pullback, but I kind of like it longer term. I think eventually we're going to be, I think too late Powell is actually going to be too late. I think Trump's right on that one. And they're going to have to start cutting rates, and we're going to see inflation very much under control. That's going to juice the market. And, and then there's AI, which I think is, everyone says this market's very, very expensive. And when you say that, you're sort of making an assumption, or you're kind of part of your thesis is that, well, there's a certain amount of earnings, profit margins that plays into that sort of thesis. But really, I think what analysts are going to find out is that they're not quite sure where profits are going to be, because I think AI is going to really sort of juice companies in a way that we've never seen. So I think there's going to be this sort of realization that something big is upon us. That could be really good for some companies. It could be really bad for some companies. So it's going to be sort of, very disruptive period, but overall, I think pretty good. Now, speaking of AI, one of the names that I really have liked, and I wrote about this last week, I said, listen, here's an AI play that you're not going to think of as AI. So this is my, popular pick for the week. And that's Goldman Sachs. And you're going to be like, what? Goldman Sachs, they're a bank. What are you talking about? Well, this new inference phase, this new sort of leg that we're on. And so overall AI is maybe in the third leg, fourth leg, take a guess. But in this inference phase, I think it's very early innings. So here we are, early innings in a space where we are already seeing IPOs starting to take off again. Companies have raised about 50% more than they did last year at this time. And last year was a good year. And this year has not been an easy year, as everybody knows. But this is sort of horse out of the barn stuff. And there are a couple companies that are going to really take advantage of this backdrop. And Goldman Sachs is one of them. They are going to take advantage of deals, of IPOs. They make like 3 to 7% of an IPO's proceeds. They make a boatload of money. And one other thing to take note of is that early on in the year, the CEO came out and he said, well, an IPO used to take us, 6 weeks, a team of 8 people. We can do a whole bunch of that, 95% of that with AI now. And then that last 5%, we're going to have to, put some eyeballs on. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they're going to be saving a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure the smartest guys in the room aren't going to be calling up their clients and going, you know what? We saved a whole bunch of money on this IPO, and we'd like to extend that savings to you guys. We're just, you caught us on a good day, and we're going to give you all that money back. No, they are going to be juicing their profit margins. And then on top of that, just to make the story even stronger, you've got these regulatory tailwinds. You're going to look at higher, return on equity, things like that. The numbers are going to start looking pretty good if we start to get those beneficial things from from the Trump promises of the election. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a fantastic couple of years. Now, the thing has run since I ran up, Mark. So I'm not sure we could take a look at the chart, but I don't think anybody can deny that this thing's had a nice run since I've gotten on board this sort of pseudo AI play. But it still gets me a little bit excited, because I think as we're finding out, the market is about narratives, right? Some stocks are value stocks and they sit down there forever because they just don't have the story. They don't have, an Intel versus NVIDIA. How would you like to be an Intel over the last 5 years versus NVIDIA? So you want the strong stories, and people are going to pay a premium for them. So, I'd love to see it pull back for an opportunity. And then my bearish pick quickly is oil. So last Monday before the open, I said, listen, short oil. It was USO was $83. I was telling people this is over. It's done. Now it's come down, but I think it's dead money. So I think the easy money's been made to the downside, but I'm not excited about it. I think we're going into a world of disinflation, deflation. I think people are going to be pumping oil like there's no tomorrow. And I see that as a place where you're not necessarily massively bearish, but I just cannot get bullish about oil right here.
I like it. So, Leisha, we're going to look at two ideas. We're going to circle back to IBM, and then I like Andrew's idea. I love Hans's idea on Goldman, but I think it could use maybe a little breather here. But I do want to look at Apple, and I want to look at IBM for today's stocks. But before we do that, I want to remind you. So on Friday, Andrew started his new Rip Zone trade in VIX. There is still about 24 hours, maybe, let's say between now and tomorrow morning, to jump into this trade, a trade that Andrew thinks is going to do really, really well. So if you've not gotten the opportunity to join Andrew in Rip Zone, you can see the link in the OP Live room, or I'm going to share the link here. There's already a discount code applied. So, join Rip Zone, and because Andrew's going to be live in about 37 minutes, it's going to be your best opportunity to get into this VIX play. Click the link. If you've got questions, call my team, 888-872-3301. All right, so Alicia, let's circle back to IBM and, oh, bless you. IBM and Apple on your pitchforks and take a look and see what we got here.
IBM, it is consolidating around this.
Switch to Alicia's screen. There you go.
Consolidating around the pitchfork resistance here. Could be dark cloud cover and rolling lower, but I'm thinking this is bull flagging. I think we could have a nice tight stop loss at 289.60. And yeah, I think it wants to trade back up to the top of the pitchfork here.
Nice. 310.
I'm calling this a bull flag. It could fail though. So have a nice stop loss tight up underneath these lows, which matches very nicely up with this big candle, the pole of the flag. I'm saying IBM's bull flagging.
I don't disagree with you. We got some near dated bullish flow here today. They're buying Fridays 290 or Thursdays 295 and 300 calls. I would probably go a little bit longer dated than that. But that's one I really like. What did you think of Apple when we looked at that one? I know you and I don't love the stock. Again, the way they've dropped the ball on AI is, this is the equivalent of Xerox giving up the concept of a GUI to everyone else and never using it themselves.
There's a consolidation box range here in Apple. Now it's stuck between these two moving averages, the 50 and 21-day moving averages since last Monday.
Hey guys, I've got a crazy idea here. I did not make this up. I'm borrowing this, but what if Apple buys OpenAI for $500 billion? What do you think the stock would do?
Oh,
Do they have that much cash? I guess they could just do it for all stock. I think that would be a huge waste of money, personally.
But I bet you the stock would go up because everybody would say, "Wow, they need to get involved in AI."
Yeah, it would be a great selling Apple opportunity, I think.
yeah, I know. Weren't they interested in buying? Who does Claude? Claude. That's
Is that Amazon?
What's that?
Is that Amazon, Claude?
No, Claude is not. Claude is.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's got a weird name for where it's from.
Anthropic. Thank you, Connor. Could have used that 30 seconds ago. Allison, my niece, her fiance is here. He works at Bloomberg. He's literally just feeding everything into the Bloomberg engine. But yeah, Anthropic is who owns Claude. And that's who I think Apple would actually gun for, a little smaller. But I do like the idea. I think ChatGPT is kind of too intertwined with too many different interfaces between, and Microsoft already owns what?
Half of it.
Yeah, a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
But I do like your idea. I mean, look, the S&P is at an all-time high, the NASDAQ is at an all-time high, and Apple is doing absolutely nothing. So that's why you would look at it as a potential short idea. But I'm going to go with Alicia's IBM idea. I think it's a really smart, fun idea. IBM's currently $292. You know what they say? If a stock's trading $290, it's going to $300.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And when it hits that, we'll email you a little graphic of Gerard Butler with his 300 mask on, 300 stuff on, and
yes,
he'll say, and we'll go, "This is Leisha." So, Leisha, I'm looking at. Did you have an option in mind? I've got one that I'm looking at. The 297.5 calls, and the 295 calls look inexpensive in particular. The 295 calls are about $4.30. And Mark? We're going over 300. Those are going to pay you pretty nicely.
Yeah.
All right. So, folks, there you have it.
July
so our trade today, we're buying the July in IBM. We are going to buy the July 18th, 2025. So they expire in about 3 weeks. We're buying the 295 call, the $295 call, and we're going to pay less than $4.30. Target here, I'd like to do better than 50%. I'd also like to be done with this trade by next Monday, preferably before we go away for the weekend. But there you can see it, folks. We're buying to open IBM July 18th, 2025, 295 calls. I'm going to get this into our portfolio right now. We recently did have an IBM win for 54%. That is what I'm going to gun for. Let's see if we can beat that number.
Do you remember, Mark, last year when you and I were like, this IBM and Watson thing, this AI, this could be something. And we were buying the stock like $130.
Yeah. IBM
still got it.
They're trying to get it. They're
making money now.
Yeah. They've righted the ship.
Do you think Intel could ever do that? Do you think they could ever do an IBM and turn the ship around?
I mean, I think the foundry business, I think it depends on whether they're able to successfully execute this foundry.
Right.
That is really what they're banking everything on. And we're doing is the ticker.
And it trades at about I don't know, 1/50th the valuation of some of these other companies.
I know.
So it's an interesting one. Trades around book value. Anyway, that's another one for another day.
That's more of like a you know, with it down in the 20s. That's one where you like buy 500 or 1,000 shares, and then you go,
Right.
you say, I'm not going to look at this for a year. And then if you see like some news, like they're spinning off the foundry business, when they spin out the foundry business, you keep your foundry stock and you sell the Intel.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So there you have it, folks. We've given you, you got to hear from each of us. We then laid out the stock that we don't like and the stock that we do like. I explained to you that you've got about 29 minutes to join Andrew in Rip Zone. And then we gave you a trade in IBM. Folks, we hope you have a wonderful week. We hope you have a great 4th of July. Obviously, as you know, Friday markets are closed. And Hans, up in Canada, I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful Canada Day on July 1st.
Thank you, Mark.
And so, folks, for our Imperial Overlord of Income, Hans Ulbricht, the Viking of Volatility, Andrew Giovinazzi, and of course, the Queen, Leisha Leslie, I'm Mark Sebastian, your only option. Have a good one.